This flight attendant takes a death-defying action, following closely behind the captain. She suddenly takes him down. She then moves to the cockpit to deal with the co-pilot and sets the plane on a vertical descent. At this moment, the flight attendant puts on a parachute, politely bids farewell to the passengers, and swiftly opens the cabin door to jump out without hesitation. The plane crashes vertically into the sea and disintegrates instantly. Meanwhile, the flight attendant slowly lands in the ocean. Strangely, just as she touches the water and before she can unfasten her parachute, her body starts to mutate. Soon, a lifelike mermaid appears before our eyes. By this time, Lane has already been living on land for a year and has fully integrated into human society. She skillfully exchanges seabed pearls for currency and frequents the market like any housewife, albeit with somewhat clumsy cooking skills. Just as the three of them are enjoying life, a war between races is quietly brewing. The flight attendant from the plane arrives outside a military laboratory. She deliberately bumps into a soldier and successfully acquires an access card to boldly enter the facility. Inside the lab, she looks around, apparently searching for something. She finds herself in a room staring at an empty fish tank. Clearly what she was looking for is no longer there. Later, the flight attendant appears in Helen's store. Lane immediately recognizes the woman in front of her. They are both mermaids but from different tribes. The woman directly states her purpose. It turns out her name is Tia. She was once the leader of another mermaid tribe, but was injured by a sea monster during a battle. Later, she was accidentally captured by the human military. She was imprisoned and studied by humans for 10 years. During this torturous period, the intelligent Dia learned much about human knowledge. Accidentally, Dia learned that the military had captured another mermaid. After escaping the lab, Leah immediately found Lane. She took Lane to the sea, denouncing the endless plundering of Earth's resources by humans, the wanton destruction and pollution of the ocean's ecology, and even the absurd plans to dump wastewater into the sea. The living environment for marine life was greatly diminishing. To protect their remaining home, she wanted to unite with Lane and gather all the mermaid tribes to retaliate against humans. Lane didn't immediately agree to Tia's alliance request, but she didn't reject it either. After returning, Jack told Lane to stay away from that naval admiral. To extract mermaid stem cells, he had exhumed Lane's sister. It was very likely that he would target Lane next. Tia, who deeply detested humans, immediately expressed her intention to retaliate, but was stopped by Jack. Late at night, the admiral came to the dock alone, but Jack was nowhere to be seen. It turned out that during the day, Tia had secretly taken Jack's phone and lured the admiral out under the pretext of a mermaid incident. Realizing something was wrong, the admiral attempted to leave the scene, but suddenly, a disturbance in the water behind him caught his attention. As the admiral bent down to investigate, a horrifying scene unfolded, and a mermaid swiftly attacked him. She had endured a decade of human captivity and torture, and humans had also destroyed their ocean habitat. Now, this mermaid unleashed all her new and old resentments upon this avaricious human. The next day, Jack found his lost phone at Helen's house, and discovered alarming texts on it. A worried Jack rushed out, heading to the dock based on the text message address, but Jack's fears came true. The military would not let this go easily. They wanted to know Tia's purpose. Ryan explained everything. It turns out, mermaids are an ancient species on Earth, spread across the oceans worldwide, each with their own tribal system, maintaining distance from each other. But in recent years, humanity's relentless plundering of marine resources and reckless pollution had devastated the mermaids' habitats, leading to numerous wars among their tribes. Now, only a third of the original mermaid tribes remain on Earth, and Dia wanted to unite with Ryan to find those scattered tribes around the globe and launch a collective assault against humans. Ryan deeply wanted to solve the racial dilemma, but not through violence. He knew this would only lead to more traps. He approached Tia, hoping to persuade her to resolve the issue peacefully, but in Tia's heart, there was only hatred for humans. At this point Carter went ashore to join them, reporting to his tribe of the chase at sea. Seeing Tia go ashore, he followed, while Ryan was out looking for food. Tia tried to convince Carter to join her in revenge against the humans. She sensed Carter's apparent obedience to Ryan, but as soon as Ryan returns, Carter reveals Tia's intentions to him. Carter insists they must stop Tia, or else, she will return to gather more mermaids for war. However, Tia ignores Ryan's pleas, and warns him to stay out of the way, or she'll consider Ryan an enemy. Then, Tia turned and jumped into the sea. Ryan followed without hesitation. On the other side, Helen meets Jack's father at the historical archives. Through conversation, she learned that he has always found past accidents at sea mysterious. He was looking for the exact location of the accident, according to the coordinates recorded in the archives. To Helen's shock, their ancestors had slaughtered mermaids there. Reading these mythical family legends, Jack's father decided to uncover the truth. At the dock, as Jack's father prepared to set sail, a storm was brewing in the distance. When Jack arrived at the dock, his father was gone. Jack immediately turned to his friend Aizen for help. In the stormy night, a small boat was bobbing in the dark sea. Jack's father was lured by the lure of a charming song. A sudden gust of wind blew him into the water. Even more dangerous was Tia, who had turned into a mermaid, rushed toward him and Have you ever witnessed a life or death battle of mermaids? At a certain location in the Mariana Trench, two mermaids from different tribes were engaged in a fierce fight. One of them, clearly outmatched, snapped a wooden stick to stun the opponent, then quickly created some distance, but Tia still caught up with Ryan. At this point, Ryan, severely injured, had lost his ability to fight. Suddenly, many mermaids appeared, all members of Ryan's tribe. Outnumbered, Tia had no choice but to retreat. Ryan's prolonged life among humans had weakened his combat abilities in the sea, and his self-healing powers were not as strong as before. But now, Ryan had to become stronger, as a new war was imminent. Helen told Ryan that she saw the spirit form of a male mermaid in the sea, who made a gesture indicating that war was approaching. Ryan needed to prepare for battle. He instructed his healers to stay and treat his wounds, while Kuro and the hunters practiced fighting with him on land. Carter and the other mermaids stayed in the sea, closely watching Tia's movements, knowing she would surely rally other mermaid tribes to cause trouble. In the following days, Ryan tirelessly trained himself as the leader of the mermaids. He quickly regained his strength and reached his peak in combat abilities. Meanwhile, Dia was not idle. After being abandoned by his tribe following an injury from a battle with a sea monster, he now sought to defeat the tribal chief and reclaim his leadership. The old chief, unwilling to yield, charged at Dia with a spear, but Dia, unscrupulously using a spring gun, knocked out the chief, successfully becoming the new leader. On another note, Jack's mother had been paralyzed from the waist down due to an accident years ago. Later, by a twist of fate, he received an injection of Ryan's stem cells. Not long after, his legs, paralyzed for many years, started to regain some sensation. While he was undergoing rehabilitation training, he secretly untied the restraining bands. However, his legs, which had not moved for years, still wouldn't obey him, and he eventually fell into the swimming pool. Jack, who was talking outside, noticed his mother at the bottom of the pool. By the time Jack pulled his mother out of the water, more than 10 minutes had passed, yet Jack's mother felt as if nothing had happened, which left both father and son utterly astonished. In the hospital, doctors conducted a lung capacity test on Jack's mother, and discovered that her lung capacity far exceeded that of normal humans, even slightly higher than professional swimmers. Jack knew clearly that this was a change brought about by Ryan's stem cells, but Jack's mother was unaware of the source of the stem cells, and asked Jack to arrange for the next injection as soon as possible. At this point, Jack found himself in a dilemma. He wanted to help his mother, paralyzed for many years, to stand again, but he didn't want to harm his beloved Ryan. Jack had to find an excuse to temporarily delay his mother. Meanwhile, Jack's father was worried that the stem cells might have side effects on the human body. In the face of uncertainty about their safety, he scolded Jack to stop injecting the stem cells into his mother. In the dead of night, Jack appeared alone in the woods. He dug up a corpse and brought it back to the research center. Once everything was prepared, Jack extracted the stem cells from the corpse. To prove the safety of the mermaid stem cells, Jack injected them into himself. What Jack didn't anticipate was that soon after, his body would undergo a dramatic transformation. Pay attention to this pregnant woman. She actually has to lie in a bathtub filled with ice cubes. Why is this happening? It turns out the fetus in the woman's womb is not human, but a purebred mermaid baby. Due to the increasingly serious marine pollution, it's difficult for mermaids to conceive naturally. This has led to their population being less than a third of what it used to be. Lane had to rely on artificial insemination using human science, but the doctor secretly implanted the embryo into this woman. However, the human body temperature is much higher than that of a mermaid baby, so the woman has to undergo cooling treatments frequently. Otherwise, both she and the baby could not survive. After the woman returned to her room, her labor pains became more intense. Strangely enough, Lane also felt waves of pain in his stomach. The doctor told him it was just false labor, and it wasn't time for the real birth yet. For now, they could only relieve the pain with medication. The woman's labor pains intensified, and Lane also felt the same. It seems there was some kind of connection between them. Maddie thought Lane might have internal injuries from fighting with Tia. When they arrived at the hospital, they happened to meet a mermaid doctor who was there to get medicine. The doctor seemed nervous upon seeing Lane. Maddie described Lane's severe abdominal pain to the doctor. Faced with the leader of the purebred mermaids, the doctor had no choice but to examine Lane. Surprisingly, Lane was not pregnant, and his abdominal pain was entirely due to contractions. But only pregnant people have contractions. At that moment, the mermaid doctor seemed to realize something. Lane explained the challenges facing the mermaid race to the doctor. The doctor, concerned about the fate of their species, finally revealed the truth. After Lane was captured by journalists, they had implanted another embryo into a half-mermaid's body. Lane's baby was alive and well, and was about to be born. After saying this, the doctor hurriedly left the scene. Lane, now frantic, turned around, grabbed the car keys, and chased after him. Lane followed the doctor to the woman's house, and upon entering, heard the woman's cries of pain. Lane stepped forward and placed his hands on the woman's stomach. The baby calmed down quickly after sensing its mother. Maddie explained the whole situation to Jack. Jack realized that the woman's water had broken. Amidst the woman's painful screams, the child was born successfully. At this moment, Lane was overjoyed, but the woman's life was coming to an end. Lane instructed Jaime to take her to the sea, to bury her as a mermaid, as a token of gratitude for nurturing the baby. But but not long after, Lane noticed the baby's breathing becoming weaker, and its skin started to peel off extensively. Lane knew the baby had to return to the sea, but since the baby was born in human form, whether it could safely transform in the sea was uncertain. Amidst their worries, Lane walked slowly towards the sea, holding the child. The woman, holding the newborn baby, threw herself into the river. Just as she was about to reach the deep sea, the two people on the shore, however, remained indifferent. The woman hugged the child tightly and plunged into the sea. Strangely enough, the woman's body suddenly began to convulse, and started to undergo a transformation. Before long, a graceful mermaid appeared before their eyes, and the baby in her arms had also turned into a cute mermaid baby. Lane, seeing his child successfully transformed for the first time, smiled with relief. Not long after, Lane returned to land with the child. Due to chaos caused by Tia and his people in the sea, Lane worried about the baby's safety, so he chose to raise the baby on land. But Lane, a new parent, seemed clumsy in caring for the baby. He insisted on placing the child under the bed, because in the sea, mermaids keep their babies safe in caves. Helen and others brought baby supplies. Curious, Lane looked at these items strangely. Maddie explained to Lane that they were used to catch the baby's excretions. Lane was utterly astonished.
She keeps it with her? In her clothes?
The baby's food was fresh fish meat. Juiced, Lane poured the food into his own mouth, and prepared to feed the baby mouth to mouth. Fortunately, Maddie taught Lane to use a bottle. That day, Lane took the baby to a mother and baby care exchange meeting. When the host asked the mothers about their hopes for their babies, Hema hoped her baby would always be happy. The blonde mother wanted her baby to grow up healthy. The other two mothers hoped their children would be successful, but Lane's answer left everyone in shock.
To survive, to swim, to hunt for herself.
Thankfully, Maddie was there to cover for Lane, preventing the situation from becoming too awkward. Just then, Hema's baby started to cry, and Lane asked why the baby was crying. Hema questioned Lane, asking if his baby doesn't cry. Facing Carter, who had betrayed his people multiple times, Lane still couldn't bring himself to deal a fatal blow. After all, they had lived together for many years. Lane wanted to give Carter one more chance, but the stubborn Carter simply refused to surrender to Lane. Not long ago, Lane learned that Tia had attacked his people, so he and May hurriedly returned to the sea. In his own territory, Lane found the bodies of his people who had died in battle. Then they gave the deceased a sea burial, and said their final farewells to them. At that moment, an injured mermaid appeared on the surface of the sea. They emerged from the water, and followed in the direction of the mermaid. In a forest on a small island, Lane found his people. Since Tia, leading the rebellious Carter, had occupied their waters, they had no choice but to hide ashore. But the forest wasn't necessarily safe either. After calming his people, Lane left May there to protect them, and returned to land to seek help. Meanwhile, Maddie, after breaking up with Jack due to the unscrupulous journalist incident, quickly found a new boyfriend. This man, named Xiao Shuai, was an expert in marine ecology. Therefore, the two had endless topics to discuss. Later, Maddie took Xiao Shuai to visit the Research Institute's warehouse, but as soon as Xiao Shuai entered, he smelled a pungent odor. Xiao Shuai discovered the smell was coming from a fridge. When they opened the fridge, they were shocked to find a mermaid's body inside. Seeing their secret exposed, Maddie could no longer keep things hidden, and had to tell Xiao Shuai everything from start to finish. After Lane returned to shore, he told Jack about the situation under the sea. Then Jack called over Aizen to help. The three of them took a speedboat to the small island. They came to where their people were hiding, dressed them, and prepared to leave when suddenly
Go.
it turned out to be the rebellious Carter and his men who had tracked them down. While they were dressing, Jack made a battle plan. He had Aizen take the injured mermaid, and wait for the opportunity to escape back to the boat, while he, along with Lane and the hunters, led Carter and his men away. Quickly, Lane eliminated an enemy in the forest. On the other hand, Jack encountered a formidable opponent. Jack was beaten back, and it seemed the whole fight was about to end. Fortunately, at a critical moment, the mermaid stem cells in Jack's body came into play. Eventually, the enemy died at the end of Jack's spear. Meanwhile, Lane and the hunters confronted Carter. In response to Lane's questioning, Carter showed no remorse. The three quickly came to blows. The ruthless Carter killed a hunter. An angry Lane picked up a weapon from the ground. Despite his deep hatred for Carter, Lane was still reluctant to kill him. He wanted to give Carter another chance to reform, but the extreme Carter preferred to end his own life, rather than surrender to Lane. And so, Lane and the remaining people left the island. At night, Tia came to the island, and saw the dead mermaid bodies everywhere. Enraged, Tia found the hunter who had suddenly awakened. It turned out he hadn't suffered a fatal wound. Tia threatened the hunter, join them or die. Looking at the bodies around him, the hunter chose to surrender. Of course, the clever Tia wouldn't easily trust a traitor, and the hunter seemed to understand this. To gain Tia's trust, the hunter revealed Lane's vulnerability. He told Tia that Lane now had his own child, who was with two male mermaids. He also disclosed their exact location to Tia. Hearing this, Tia already had a new plan in mind. In the far northern lands where few tread, shrouded in extreme cold, a man carefully approaches a guiding hut on the ice. He places the offerings in a basket, then slowly submerges the cradle into the ice hole. After moving away from the hut, he waits in silence. Soon, there's movement inside the hut, and everyone feels a powerful aura approaching. The door of the hut slowly opens, revealing 3 eerie women emerging one after the other. Just a day earlier, Rain and Jack had just returned from a battle on a small island, only to encounter Maddie's new boyfriend, Xiao Shuai. Rain instantly sensed something off about Xiao Shuai, and with a swift move, threw him to the ground. He recognized Xiao Shuai as a merman from a distant sea. Xiao Shuai then stopped hiding his true nature, removing his colored contacts to reveal centuries-old white eyes. It turns out, Xiao Shuai hails from the northernmost waters of Alaska, having lived on land for over a decade. Rain, aware of the northern merfolk's fierce and restless nature, shared his ambitious plans with Xiao Shuai. Rain sought an alliance with Xiao Shuai's tribe to jointly confront Dia, but Xiao Shuai wondered, even if Dia could control all sea creatures, humans still vastly outnumbered them. Unless Dia had weapons of mass destruction. Maddie then thought of the Siren song, a melody that could bring joy or instant death. If used on a large scale, it would be devastating. Rain once again proposed an alliance to Xiao Shuai. Thus, Xiao Shuai led Rain and his group to the frigid lands. Meanwhile, Dia was not idle, sending a large number of merfolks north to bolster their numbers, preparing to declare war on humanity. Soon after, Rain's group reached Xiao Shuai's tribal territory. Jack thought of breaking the ice to allow Xiao Shuai to transform in the sea, but Xiao Shuai, having shifted too often between land and sea, was now unable to revert to his mermaid form. Rain, too, began to worry. Xiao Shuai, carrying the offering boat, approached the guiding hut. After placing the boat into the water, he waited quietly. Before long, 3 airy, white-eyed women came out of the hut one after another. The leader of them was Roman, the chief of the Little Handsome tribe. The 2 chiefs nervously confronted each other, but fortunately, they controlled their emotions. Rain told Roman about Dia's ambitions, and asked for an alliance with the Una tribe, to fight against Dia. Una immediately refused Rain's offer, because their tribe was also facing an existential crisis. Unlike other mermaids, Una's people are born female. They can only reproduce when they become males, through a ceremonial pool in the tribe. But now, this pool, contaminated by humans, cannot facilitate this transformation. Maddie's tests revealed a large amount of microplastics, releasing bisphenol, a key factor in preventing their transformation. That's when Handsome offers Una a deal, that he could restore the pool's ability to transform, but Una must agree to help Rain fight Dia. If the tribe loses its ability to reproduce, it would be no different from extermination. Una agreed to this condition. With their knowledge of the sea, Jack and Handsome, they quickly came up with a solution. They came up with the idea of using harmless vegetable oil to absorb the plastic particles in the water, and then mix it with non-toxic magnetite to suck out the oily substances. This would effectively purify the pollutants. Once everything was ready, they poured all the materials into the transformation pool. The clansmen drew mystical symbols on Una's face. Then Una took off her outer clothes and slowly entered the pool, eventually completely submerged. Now, all that remains is to wait. This is the fastest way I've ever seen to change your gender. It will challenge all your senses. A mysterious woman removes her jacket, steps slowly into the pool, and then fully immerses herself in the water. Shortly after, a male mermaid surfaces from the pool in amazement. The speed of this magical gender transition is beyond even the imagination of countless Savatikas. The respected and successful Chief Una made good on her promise. Jack helped her restore the transformation pool, and got her to agree to join forces with Rain, together against a common enemy. Elsewhere, as a lady prepared to leave her office, a strange mermaid song suddenly blared from the radio. Everyone in the office was holding their heads in pain, as if they had suffered internal injuries and eventually bled to death. Jack and his team realized that this is Dia declaring war on humanity. Aizen suggests informing the military of the situation, because the enemy of their enemy may be their friend. At the military base, the general's reaction surprises Jack and his team. Recently, Dia infiltrated the base, deleted the recordings that Jack brought back from the origin. They realized that Dia intends to use the mermaid song on the internet to control or destroy human minds. Without the recording, they can't do anything. But the general underestimates the gravity of the situation. He thought Jack's fears were exaggerated. The land of origin is the legacy of our ancestors. It's the only antidote to the Song of the Mermaids. Dia has reduced this sacred place to rubble in order to prevent humans from entering it. Dia reduced the sanctuary to rubble. After being denied access, Jack suddenly remembered the oil company's sonic cannons. It can be used for defense and against Dia. They quickly rushed to where the drill ship was destroyed. Rain found the cannon on the bottom of the ocean, but it was firmly wedged between the rocks. He fights to free it alone. Later, Maddie's radar picks up a fast-moving object, likely a relative of Dia's approaching. Realizing the potential danger to Rain, Jack grabs his harpoon gun and dives into the sea. He spots a dark figure rushing toward him. It turns out to be a startled Poseidon. Together with Rain, they try to move the sonic cannon. Maddie lowers the winch and the cannon is finally retrieved. Maddie looked at Jack in disbelief. It was amazing that he had been underwater without oxygen for over half an hour. Suddenly, Jack struggles to breathe. His palms took on the shape of mermaids. Jewel-like organs appeared on his ribs. It startled everyone, but Jack was soon back to normal. normal. Back on land, Rain intended to destroy all the stem cells, but Jack stopped him. He knew that one day Rain would be like Handsome and would never be able to transform again. He had to stay in the ocean. Jack chose to stay with Rang in this way. At the dinner party the next day, Azam received a mysterious phone call. He suddenly heard a strange voice. He collapsed and bled out. In the uncharted depths of 20,000 meters below, a young mermaid embarks on his first hunting lesson with the elders. They intrude upon a giant electric eel's lair, where the eel, with its sharp fangs, hisses at the intruders. Before the elders could react, the brave young mermaid, spear in hand, charges forward, fiercely stabbing at the eel's head, swiftly subduing the creature. The elders realize the young mermaid has grown up. It's time for him to meet his mother. Meanwhile, their every move is secretly watched by a renegade hunter, lurking from afar, whose new master, Dia, has already begun sonic attacks on humans. During a celebratory banquet, Aizen receives a mysterious phone call. A strange sound from the phone causes him to bleed from all orifices, collapsing to the ground. A CT scan at the hospital reveals rapid degeneration in his brain, an effect of the mermaid song, as Jack clearly knows. He and Maddie had also been affected by it, until Rain took them to the mermaid's origin for healing. Maddie traces the call's location, discovering they all received the same number at the same time, but only Aizen answered. Knowing Dia won't stop, they expect a second wave of attacks soon. Suddenly, Rain's heartbeat accelerates. He senses his child has come from the sea to land. At the shore, Rain finds his daughter, much grown in just a few months. Their innate bond makes them familiar to each other, and they soon embrace tightly. Curl tells Rain their waters are now under Dia's tyrannical rule. Many tribe members suffer persecution, and Dia has completely destroyed the origin. Jack is shocked. Without the origin, Aizen can't be saved. To prevent Aizen's condition from worsening, Helen brings a healer. After the healer's unique treatment, Aizen's heart rate stabilizes. Meanwhile, Little Hope, first time in the human world, is curious about everything, turning into a mischievous child. He instinctively stabs toys with a sharp object, rummages through things, and tears book pages, leaving chaos in his wake. Suddenly, Rain senses another presence in the house. The hunter emerges, still alive, to Rain's disbelief, seemingly over-concerned about Hope, but the clever child does not take to him. Helen, just returned, is astounded by Hope's rapid growth, amazed at the speed of a merbaby's development. Then, the mischievous child turns on a record player nearby. The song unexpectedly affects him. Hope's vocal power turns out to be even stronger than his mother's. For safety, they quickly move Hope away from the area. Elsewhere, in a regional call center, Dia bursts in, taking care of the staff. He uploads the mermaid song to the network of a specific area. As he presses the send button, everyone simultaneously receives the mysterious call. A woman answered an ordinary phone call, but it led to murder. At the same time, many others received the same call. Strangely enough, everyone who answered the call spat blood from their mouths and died on the spot. At the same time, a mysterious letter was delivered to the news center office. When the editor opened the envelope, he found a USB flash drive. The contents of the flash drive were creepy. Tia openly challenged mankind, condemning mankind for destroying the Earth's ecology. The recent sonic attacks is just the beginning. At this very moment, the town's hospital is in chaos. Countless injured civilians have been admitted to the hospital. Helen rushed to the hospital in a panic and realized that they had all been tricked by the hunters. The hunters had taken Little Hope while Ryan was away. The military also found Ryan, hoping to use him to find Tia's hideout, to catch her once and for all. Tia looked at Little Hope and told him the whole truth. Tia had been a mother once. She was pregnant when the humans took her. The baby was about to be born, but the humans' ruthless experiments caused a miscarriage, coupled with man's destruction of the oceans. Tia's hatred for humans became bitter. Her goal was to overthrow human rule on Earth, but brave Little Hope was having none of it, kicked Tia to show her displeasure. Inside the command center, the military locks down the area where Thea is likely hiding. However, searching every house in the target area is a waste of time and might alert the enemy. They need a faster, more precise method. Jack tells the general that a mermaid's body temperature remains constant at 23 degrees Celsius. Using thermal imaging, they can accurately track her location. Soon, they find Thea's hideout. Soldiers break down the door, and Ryan rushes in, only to find the hunter tied up on the floor. Clearly, Thea has betrayed him. Thea sends a message to Ryan through the hunter. To save his daughter, he must come to the sea to find her. Ryan knows it's a trap set by Thea, but for his daughter's safety, he has no choice but to proceed. Meanwhile, in the hospital, Xiaoshui brings back a recording of the song from their people's origin. Miraculously, Azin recovers after hearing the song. Everyone hurriedly starts to duplicate and broadcast the audio, neutralizing Thea's mermaid song threat. Next, the ultimate showdown between Ryan and Thea awaits. Ryan's people are already prepared for battle, willing to fight for their leader, even if it means falling to the ocean's depths. Above the sea, Ryan stands over Thea's hiding place. He can feel Little Hope's heartbeat. Facing the unknown dangers of the ocean depths, Ryan orders Jack to leave immediately, but Jack cannot let Ryan face this formidable enemy alone. He's prepared to stay and fight. Facing such a vast disparity in strength, Ryan must lead his people to break through the encirclement. Just now, Ryan, with Jack's help, located Thia's position under the sea. Sensing little hope nearby, Ryan uses a diversionary tactic to draw Thia away, while Jack sneaks in and overpowers a guard with a spear. At the iron gate, Little Hope extends his hand out to Jack. They sense each other's presence, and Jack tears open the iron door with his bare hands to rescue Hope. Facing the heavily guarded outside, Jack tells Hope to escape while he distracts the guards. Jack successfully lures the mermaid guards away, allowing Hope to swiftly flee the seabed. But Jack is now in a precarious situation, being pursued by two determined guards. Meanwhile, Ryan's people arrive one after another. Thia, confident, watches Ryan as if she's already secured victory. Ryan, seeing Thia's vast army swarm towards him, loses his confidence. But just as he despairs, distant horn sounds signal the arrival of the northern tribe's chief, honoring his promise to aid. With Ryan's command, the ultimate mermaid battle commences. Turning the seabed into a battlefield strewn with bodies, the water stained red with blood. Enraged by Thia's actions, Ryan fiercely thrusts his spear into Thia's chest. With Thia's fall, the war finally calms. Ryan emerges as the leader of all mermaids. The undersea war ends, but Jack's whereabouts remain unknown. Ryan tirelessly searches the ocean but finds no trace of Jack. 2 months later, Maiden of the Sea leaves Ryan, and from then on, Ryan often dreams of Jack and their happy family life. A dream that remains just a dream. People often talk about a mermaid on the seaside rocks, gazing at the sea with longing, believing that one day, that person will return. The true cause of all this is human selfishness and greed. The irreversible damage to the ocean's ecology by humans, including countries dumping nuclear waste into the sea, is undeniable. While Thia's aim was to make the Earth better, her method was misguided. But our Earth does not belong only to humans, does it?